Crawling through the lies, a carousel of faces, hiding in disguise like moths to the flame. We dive into the dark, chasing validation, we've ignited the spark. In a web of connections, we're tethered yet alone. Ghosts in the machine, but we made it our home. Welcome to the digital graveyard, where dreams go to decay. Heartbeats sounding notifications as the light fades away. We're searching for salvation in the likes and the shares, but the deeper we dig, the more we're caught in snares. For perfection, a mask for the pain. Behind every filter there's just shadows and shame. Like a marionette dancing on invisible strings, we traded our freedom for ephemeral bling. In a sea of opinions, we drown in the noise. The truth's been buried deep under piles of false choice. Welcome to the digital graveyard, where dreams go to decay. Heartbeats sounding notifications as the light fades away. We're searching for salvation in the likes and the shares, but the deeper we dig, the more we're caught in snares. Oh, a sea of opinions, we drown in the noise. The truth been buried deep under piles of false choice. Welcome to the digital graveyard, where dreams go to decay. Heartbeats drowning notifications as the light fades away. We're searching for salvation in the likes and the shares, but the deeper we dig, the more we're caught in snares. Oh, it's a masquerade, a theater of grief, we're puppets of pixels craving sweet relief. Crawling through the ashes of what was once real. In the glow of the screens, we've lost the appeal. Falling deeper like a black hole's embrace. Trapped in this abyss, no escape from the chase. A pixelated nightmare where our souls fade away. In the digital graveyard, forever we sway. Welcome to the digital graveyard, where dreams go to decay. Heartbeats sounding notifications as the light fades away. We're searching for salvation in the likes and the shares, but the deeper we dig, the more caught in snares. So screaming through the void, let your records collide in this endless black mirror where we all have to hide. The price of connection, the soul's heavy toll in the digital graveyard. We're losing control. In the heart of the city, where the streets never sleep, there's a secret haven where the outcasts creep. A place of wonder where the misfits roam. Kuma's Delight, a home to call their own. Kuma's Delight, a world of pure glee, where the weird and wild come to be free. Dreams where the eccentric thrive. Kuma's Delight, alive and surviving. In this realm of fantasy, they find their peace, a place to escape the world's noise and release. The true self shine in this haven of delight, where love and acceptance banish the dark of night. Oh, Kuma's Delight, a world of pure glee, where the weird and wild come to be free. A realm of dreams where the eccentric thrive. they find their peace, a place to express their heart's joyful noise. Embracing individuality, they rise above. In Kuma's delight, they find their endless love. Oh, Kuma's delight, the world of pure glee, where the weird and wild come to be free. A realm of dreams, where the eccentric thrive. Kuma's delight, alive and surviving.
Finally got this thing working. Shout out to the guy on Twitter's name is Relentless. Sorry, I don't know your actual name, but he was giving me some help. I can actually hear my monitor now. So now we can do a review on this Red Pill take. Myron Gaines being called out, maybe. So let's get into it, shall we?
What is your body count?
36. I mean, I'll be f***ing, you know?
How old are you?
19.
Jesus Christ.
Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. I am currently out looking for land for the men's retreat. Haven't found too much luck yet. A lot of it is very hilly or kind of swampy in the price range that I'm looking to spend. But so far, we're making progress. We'll find something here very, very soon. But while I was out here, I actually posted this to Twitter last night, and it's something I wanted to talk a little bit more about today because I see something that is still occurring, and I'm kind of confused about it. Maybe you guys can help me understand a little bit. I want you to imagine you're going in for a minimum wage job. You know it's minimum wage. They're going to pay you the least amount they can legally by law. That's what they've agreed to pay you. Yet they want you to have a 4-year degree, and they want you to be able to be on call 24/7, and they want you to be able to take no vacation. You don't get any medical aid or medical insurance. You don't get any no benefits, no bonuses, nothing. All you get is minimum wage, but you have to have a ton of requirements to get it. And then on top of that, you've got men's channels that are giving you advice on the best way to get that job. Now, if you were to ask yourself, well, that's kind of stupid. Why would I need a 4-year degree and jump through all these hoops just for a minimum wage job? And why would men's channels be advertising to help me do that? That's stupid. Why don't they tell us actually how to succeed in life or do something better? Now, who I'm specifically calling out here, it's not really calling out, because I don't want to call out Myron Gaines is who I'm speaking of over on Fresh and Fit. I don't want to call him out because a lot of what he says makes sense. I think a lot of what he says is actually good. But what I don't understand is this fascination with men and men's channels where they want to push you to lie, coerce, and better yourself, or lie to women, I guess I should say, and coerce and become a better man and raise your social market value for whores, for women that are not going to accept you in your natural state without you pretending to be something you're not, just to what, sleep with them and maybe catch something. Here's the post that I'm actually relating to. I'll post it up here on the screen so you can see it. This Diane Yap says, I would rather be a temporary fleshlight for a 9 or a 10 than a permanent sex and housekeeper for a 5. I'm sure most women feel this way. And this is kind of the point that we've been making, isn't it? That women would rather just be passed around by 9s and 10s and used and dumped and literally be a receptacle for all these guys. God knows how many things these women catch. They also catch single children and become single mothers. That's another thing they catch. But this is the whole point, is how many of them are doing this and admitting to doing it. They do not want you as an average man. They only want the top 10%ers. Here's another example.
Real quick though, the interesting pushback that I would give right off the bat is if you are on that top percenter, right? You're like in that 1% or you're going into that 1%er. I don't think you're really necessarily giving women like that the time of day uh sexually. Um Now I know Myron has this whole date 50 women thing. I don't know if he's still on that or not. But he got pretty good pushback from people like Andrew Wilson, and I don't know. This was put out 2 days ago, so I'm not sure if that interaction changed any of the nuance in this conversation. But I don't think Myron Gaines is telling you to go to the gym, work on your finances, build yourself up, become a great guy, so then you can just toss your pearls at swine. And that seems like a really big straw man just because he has other prescriptors like the date 50 girls or whatever. The entire idea behind going to the gym and bettering yourself should be done for you and not necessarily for some broad to pay attention to you. And so I can understand like coming into the spaces like this and not knowing Red Pill fully, that there could be some guys that walk away with this going, oh yeah, if I go to the gym and I work on my finances, or I can at least peacock or demonstrate that I have these um, things, or at least make it look that way through coercion, that I can trick women into sleeping with me and then I can just kind of dump them off and we just do this pump and dump thing, right? I don't necessarily think that's a high value male perspective or a way to look at it, at least once you start getting into the topper echelons. What Myron tends to prescribe is to have a roster, as I would call it, or at least a number of different women that you are looking at least in the dating phase, that are going to be potential for courting. But you do not want to court these women unless they demonstrate that they're the type of woman that you would want to be with. So, this entire idea of you're going to a job and you're applying is a really bad way to look at it. And I don't think it's a good perspective for men, considering the fact that men do normally initiate the dating phase, typically. Women don't just fall into your lap. They're not just going to come to you because you have this shit. Even if it's demonstratable, even if you didn't have to peacock it. No one in the red pill space is saying, go get your shit and then be like, oh, look at me, come get some of this. Like, I've never heard a red pill guy say that. Usually all of the betterment side of it is for you so that you feel better about yourself and you come into a level of confidence that you don't have to settle for these types of women. And if you have a few of them in your roster, you don't care if you get rejected. You don't care if it doesn't work out. You got 3 or 4 other women that are potential for dating. And as far as courting goes and things like this all gets mitigated the second you start to look at this kind of stuff. Is she a 304? What kind of relationship does she have with her parents? How does she carry herself? All these things can go into play when you're first doing your first date, or however you're hanging out with these women, or getting their number, or whatever you're doing in your game. This can all be mitigated right off the initiation phase. So if you're not one of those types of men who worked his ass off just so you could be with some broad who doesn't deserve it, here's the good news for you. You don't have to. The important thing here is that when you get to a certain point, you stop giving a shit. You don't give a shit if you get rejected. You don't give a shit if it doesn't work out for you. And you don't have to walk up to women and flaunt it like, oh, look at me, look at my nice watch and my Lambo, and you should have sex with me. Like, even if a guy had it all fucking together, do we really think that that's gonna get a woman? Does that sound attractive to you, ladies? Oh, hey, look at me. Oh, look, hey, how you doing? I got a lot of money. Oh, date me. It's like, it still goes off this like really low energy, insecure, I need woman, I need to have sexual intercourse. It almost comes off like you're desperate, right? And I don't think if you've reached a level in your masculinity that you even want to be that kind of person. So it could be the case that you might be able to play it off with a couple dumb broads and do the pump and dump game, but it's a short term gain, long term loss. And I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna start mentioning, like, catching things and how that's just not going to be really beneficial for you in the long run, considering if these women are just jump offs, let's say, uh, what would be the point of working yourself up, building yourself up, so that some jump off can come in and just take it all from you? It kind of sounds silly. But I also think that if you approach it from the level of, I'm the one doing the hiring, I'm the boss, and she has to demonstrate to me that she's worthy of my time. She has to demonstrate she's worthy of my money and my resources. Then I think you're already off to a much better start. That, and I also think that making sex your North Star or women your North Star can be really damaging for men, because the guys that do go to the gym or work out or work on their finances specifically for women, when it doesn't work out for them, shit hits the fan. Where if you get guys that are like go-getters and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to go be the best me I can be, it does not matter. Come rain, sleet, or snow, or hurricane, I'm going to the gym, I'm building a routine, I'm making sure my finances are good, I like the job I'm working for, I'm building a social network. And I would say that Myron's advice is probably going to be something along the lines of make sure you have some options, because the dating realm fucking sucks. We know that most of these women want to date these higher echelons type of men. And so if you're getting yourself into that position, there's two things you need to know. Number one, you're already immediately more attractive to the opposite sex, meaning you may be able to get more opportunity to sleep with them or things like that. That doesn't mean that you should or ought to do that. You can absolutely say no and wait for marriage, like any good Bible believing Christian will tell you to. Get the horse, then the cart. Don't get the cart before the horse. People that do that end up in divorce or all the other kinds of nonsense that we see in today's society. And I imagine his pushback is going to be that more degeneracy doesn't solve degeneracy, which I would agree with him. And it's probably his pushback to the more date 50 women, or you have to, try to have sex with these women. Why? If they are already demonstrably 304s and you are on your point, you don't even have to necessarily give these women the type of day, but the fact that they're even remotely attracted to you at all is something that you can use as leverage in your social market value. Because when you're looking at it from a perspective of, man, I got several different women that want to sleep with me, now the cards are in your hand, not in hers anymore. And so it's back to the mindset of having a few women in line keeps the one that you want in line, and letting them know that they're replaceable. Now, I know he's probably going to have some issue with that mindset, because we're talking to men right now. And that's not saying go directly to your girlfriend and specifically, like, autistically be like, oh yeah, you're going to sleep with me, and if you don't sleep with me and cook my meals, you're out of here. But you can demonstrate that in your actions and the way that you carry yourself and your frame. 1,000%. So she knows if she fucks up, she's out. You don't even have to really say it. It's just this unspoken thing. It's like, damn, I can't fuck with that guy. He I know that if I make a mistake or if I do something, he's off to the races with somebody else. I better be loyal to him. That's the type of mindset you want to get them at. And that only can be done if you're not some like desperate, oh, let me get a watch so that looks like I'm trying to impress you. That shit never works. And let's be honest, I think there's enough women out there that know when you're trying to pull one over. I don't think all women are that fucking stupid. Like I said, you might find a few dumb bimbos that will date you for that, but at the end of the day, why? Why would you want that? You don't. And so I think he's got a point, but I don't necessarily agree that that's Myron's point. But let's continue.
And this is a slightly different post here, but here's another perfect example.
I did everything they said that was going to make me happy. I built a career. I got my own place. I went on solo trips like a pro, the best hotels, flying business, you name it, right? The works. And I stayed independent, but it was very lonely. I feel very lonely all the time. Don't get me wrong, like being strong got me very far in my career, and I'm very proud of everything that I've done, but I'm done pretending that I'm okay, because I'm not.
She admits feminism is doing women wrong, that telling them, oh, you can have all the things and you can do whatever you want, and all of a sudden you're going to end up aged out and alone. And only do they come to realize it too late. So this woman that says, oh, I'd rather be passed around by all the top men than rather find an average guy for myself. By the way, this is what she actually looks like. Somebody dug up a photo of her in her threads and actually found when she had snapped a picture of herself doing something. As you can see, yes, she'd be lucky to be passed around by 9s and 10s. Let me read Myron's tweet, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. He says, are the male blue pill simps starting to believe me yet? 90% of men are invisible to women, and they would rather be a whore to a top guy than a queen to an average guy. This is why you must keep your SMV high and have multiple women, or at least the impression you have them, as a reminder to your women that she can be replaced and is inferior to you, what her natural hypergamy wants. Trust me, I wish hypergamy was not real, but this is the ugly truth about female nature. You can either understand them or respect them as equals, but you can't do both. And he got about 3,500 likes on this, which, again, is fine. But here's the argument I have against this, and it's always the argument I have. He says, well, you got to let them know you have other women, or actually have other women, and you need to treat them a certain way, and you need to prove that you have high SMV. You have to prove to them that you have that, and then they'll want you.
I'm not sure I like his framing here, because the way he's saying it, it's like prove, like you have to show it to, like you're like, hey, look what I have, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. When those things are already in place, they're just there. And like I said, it doesn't have to be this direct conversation that you have with your woman, like, look, I have other women in line, or look, like, it doesn't have to be like you're rubbing her nose that clearly in the shit of it all. But there is this unspoken, damn, I can't fuck with him, that happens. And it's not necessarily that you're proving to her anything or showing her. She can see that in the way you carry yourself, the people that you have around you, your boundaries, your standards, and the way that you value and carry yourself. That all goes into play when we're talking about this stuff. It's not just you saying, like, look, here's this thing I have, and you're just pointing to it like, look, I have this. No. High value men don't have to do that. I don't know any high value man that goes around like, look at all the girls I got, you know, like it just weird, fucking desperate, trying to get your into your pants bullshit that I think low tier simps that maybe come in and maybe watch one clip of Myron get out of what he's actually saying. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go to the gym, buy a watch, and get a Lambo, and then I'll get pussy. It's like that's not quite how that works. And like I said, there's guys that are highly successful as far as those things are concerned, and they still suck at dating women because there's a social thing to it as well that goes into play with this. And that's why I think Myron tries to combine the two. Now, obviously, he's not speaking to a bunch of biblical men, so his advice is tailored to men who might take this advice and absolutely use it to sleep around with women. More power to them. But for the biblical Christians in chat, we know that's a horrible fucking idea. And from a high value standard, even just looking at this objectively, and just let's just say degeneracy is like it's a mutual thing. It's not even evil if you don't have God. Even if you're just like a complete heathen, you're looking at this and you're like, so I just built up all my finances. I started going to the gym. I'm feeling healthier. I built up my social. I have good friends and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to think, why on God's earth would I give up all of that to be with a woman who only wants me for those resources, not necessarily for me? They just want the resources that I have. And so immediately that's where my brain goes. Like, oh, okay, so she just wants me because I have the nice car, or because I have the money, or because I have the six. But if I lost any of that, she's out the window. And if we get married, I'm fucked. Especially considering how dating and all of that works right now. Everything's in the woman's court. So I'm not sure. I'm a fan of the framing here, and I think Myron would push back on here with it a little bit. But let's keep going.
Okay, again, that is like walking into a job that is advertising that they want somebody for minimum wage. And you go in there and you lay down your resume, and it's got great resume, and your work history, great work history, and you've got lots of references, and you can show how all this productivity that you've done for other companies and how you demand to have this minimum wage job. And they say, I'll take it. They'll hire you. And then you get the job. And you find out it's a horrible job. And you find out, wow, they really do pay minimum wage. And wow, I am really way overqualified for this job. I don't want this job. That's literally what Myron is doing for these women.
Again, I'd have to disagree. Because again, from a high status male perspective, you're not looking at dating like you're applying for the job. And even if you were to look at it that way, like, I'm just going to grant the argument for a second, though I don't agree with this way of looking at it. If you have all these accolades and you did all this and that, and you're a good worker and you know it, and you're going into the job and they're like, look, we pay minimum wage, we don't do this, we don't do that, and this is demonstrable, and it should be when you're going in for the interview, right? Why would you want that job anyway? Which is what he's saying, right? So again, coming from the standpoint of you are in demand, especially if you have those accolades, jobs are going to be looking for you, especially if you have, like, look, I have all these recommendations, I did this and that, I have the experience. I think all of that work gives you an incentive to say, I expect to be paid X amount of money to work the quality of work that I can give. I definitely want time off for my family and for my kids and things like that. I want vacation time. All of this makes sense. And I don't know anyone that would go into a job so damn desperate for it that if everything fucking sucked and you were passing colors, that you'd just be like, okay, sure, I guess I'll take this job even though it fucking sucks, knowing that you could get a better job with everything that you have to bring to the table. So again, I don't know if that's, I just don't see Myron giving that type of advice to men. I can see men taking that advice in that perspective. You know, again, if you just watched a clip or two, but if you watch enough of Fresh and Fit, I don't think that's what Myron's saying. Anytime he talks about going to the gym, working on your finances, any of the high value stuff, that is all done for you, not for her. Now, there's this sort of build it and they'll come aspect to it, which to some degree could be true, especially if you're down and out and you feel like I haven't really accomplished much. Going to the gym and starting to work on your finances and getting your ducks in a row, so to speak, that can all make you feel more assertive, more confident in yourself, and it's definitely going to carry some weight. And it's not to say that, you know, there might be some women flocking to you because of that. That's not to say you need to then go turn around and find like some cum dumpster and be like, okay, let's have at it. Like, why? A lot of the women that are even like that, especially in this area, date men who don't have jobs, don't have a car, beat them, cheat on them, treat them like shit, and they stay with them for years and years and years, taking care of them because, oh, I can fix him. And they stay in these relationships for a long time, even though the guy's a complete piece of shit. So, I know that's anecdotal, but it happens. It's not to say that's always how it happens, but it's to say you could get all this shit and still fucking fail with women. If you don't know game, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know how hypergamy works, you're still in this shitter. And so I think Myron tries to combine the two, like work on yourself, yeah, but also make sure your social market value is high and you have women that actually want to date you and are actually interested in pursuing something with you. And yeah, you can mitigate the cum dumpsters when you first meet them and go on first dates or in conversation. You kind of figure this shit out, again, by seeing what's her relationship like with her parents and things like that's a big one. If she doesn't have like a dad or a mom in the picture, like, I'm not saying that's always a bad thing, but at least a yellow flag's on the field, or she's had a high body count. All of that stuff men need to start looking at objectively and saying, okay, well, I just put in a lot of fucking time working on myself, becoming a better version of myself. Why on earth would I then turn around and give it to someone who, honestly, just from their accolades and what they can bring to the table, offer nothing but heartache, sorrow, and more bullshit? Doesn't make any sense.
He says, have high value for ugly women. Prove that you have high value, and maybe that you may.
When does he ever say have high value for ugly women? Like, pull up that tweet again, and it does not say that. It says have a high social market value. Now, I know he probably means smexual, which is why I'm reframing it for people, because you need to get out of your head that the North Star is sex and the North Star is women. Because if you do all of this shit for women, you go to the gym for women, you work on your finances for women, guess what? You're still fucked.
Make good money, or maybe that you have other women waiting on the side for you, and then she'll want you. But why do you want them? That is my question. Why do you want them? And if you say, oh, it's not to date him, it's just to smash. Do you really want to jump through a bunch of hoops and faking you, or maybe working real hard so you actually have high value, to prove to these women that you're worth their selection, and then they select you and just so you can say, ha, smashed, and then you bounce? Why are you bothering to sleep with these losers? Why are you bothering to jump through the hoops for women like this? This is the whole thing I don't understand. And so much of the red pill is still focused on this. You know,
See, I disagree. I think Red Pill tries to marry two things, and it gets conflated all the time. On the one side of it, absolutely work on yourself, become a better version of yourself, build yourself up, become a better man. Because regardless, you know that you're going to have better options. And if you get options that are not ideal to you, then like you said, you don't have to give a shit. You don't have to do anything about it. You can just, thanks for playing, next, swipe left. You don't have to swipe right on every single fucking girl just because you got into the money and girls like you now. That's not how that works. And any guy that treats it like that is destined for failure. Destined for it. Because, again, you're making women your North Star. And it shouldn't be. That's how you end up desperate and clingy and peacocking and doing all this shit that he's talking about. Just focus on you. Be you. Do you. I don't think Red Pill says anything. I don't know any Red Pill content creator that would be like, yeah, jump through all the hoops so you can date a bunch of broads that aren't even worth your time. Like, yeah, great advice. Like, no, I don't know anyone that says that.
I thought we'd be somewhere, and I know I don't always use Red Pill to explain or describe my channel or other content like it, but I thought we'd be somewhere in time now where most of these guys would say, you know something, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. These women are not worth me. These women aren't worth me showing my resume, dressing up in a nice-looking smart suit for our date, putting on a $1,000 watch, pulling up in a nice car, going to the gym and getting buff for. At a certain point, don't you say, the women are not worth it anymore? Why am I going to bother with that? Because I'll tell you something. If I met a nice woman, now granted, you don't want to be a fat slob. You want to dress well. You want to take care of yourself. You want to work out and hit the gym, but do it for yourself. Because the irony at the end of all of this is the best part, and I'm getting there. You want to hit the gym for yourself. If you want to dress sharp for a job or just to look good or feel good about yourself, great. But to go out there and buy fancy watches and fancy cars and brag that you have this much money or brag that you have a certain job and try to prove to these awful, shallow women that basically will just give themselves to any man to be used and passed around, and yet something in you says, I want to be one of those men she's passing herself around to. Why even bother? And here's the crazy part, and this is where it seals it all up for me. When Myron says, make yourself a high-value male and go out and achieve all this so you too can sleep with these women that have high body counts and probably they're so infested that when they take a bath, it bubbles like Mentos in a bowl of Coke. That's how much they fizz when they touch water because of all the STIs they have in them. But my whole point is, why are you doing this? So let's say you're Myron. Let's say he says, okay, become a high-value male. Go out there and get good income. Have a nice car. Wear a nice suit. Put on a nice watch. Pretend, or maybe you do have multiple women, or pretend you have these other women. And peacock and do all these things.
I don't think you should pretend that you have other women. I think it's just like if you have enough friends in your social circle and you have enough shit going on, it's already demonstrated. Again, no one's saying that you need to go out to these women and like look at me. You know, I think again, this is probably speaking to the guys that maybe just come in or just see a clip and think that this is all Red Pill is trying to tote around is get these accolades so whores will sleep with you. It's like, no, dude, work on yourself so then you value yourself enough that you don't give a shit if they reject you. Work on it enough, do enough social game that you have a couple women in a roster that you're potentially thinking about courting. But leave the courting, leave that part for a woman that deserves it. Don't court a woman if she's a 304. Don't court a woman if she's going to be a pain in the ass. Don't court a woman if she's got multiple men in her DMs. All of these things, if you saw those, should be blaring red flags. Blaring red flags that you're like, okay, well, thanks for playing. We'll be in touch, but I'm out of here. If I see multiple men and I see promiscuous behavior and I see things like that, that is all a sign that, no thanks, we're not going to continue doing what we're doing. Like, it was nice to meet you. Thanks for playing. Next, please. And there's something like that, and I debate them all the time. The last guy I talked to, he's a biblical guy. He's like, I believe in God. And so I'm like, help me out here, because I don't fucking understand this. You're a biblical guy looking for a biblical marriage that includes monogamy, no promiscuity, all this and that. Why are you going out with a bunch of easy women that just want to sleep around, that just want to have fun? Why are you even wasting your time with women like that if what you're looking for isn't that? The thing that you're looking for is not that thing. So you're going in looking for something that's not even existent, that actually doesn't check. And he got mad at me and said I was lecturing him, and was, oh, you just don't want to have sex with women. It's like, it's not that I don't want to have sex with them, but can you blame me if she had 50 men before her? Why I might not want to? Because, yeah, problems. There's some problems there. And I think this is just obvious, and it should be obvious to men, that even if you did do all the things that Myron tells you to do, going to the gym, working on your finances and this and that, you get yourself to a certain level, you should be like thinking that way. If you get approached by a woman and it's just like, wait a minute, why would I even consider it? Not even like sex, like just dating. Why would I even date a woman if she's going to be combative, narcissistic, shallow, doesn't really pay much attention to me, is only there for my resources? That is a recipe for disaster. But again, I'm just not 1,000% sure that Red Pill's giving you that ought claim, that you ought to go do that. And I don't hear any Red Pill creator going out there like, yeah, that's what you should do as a man. Build yourself up so you can then cast your pearls away at swine. Makes no fucking sense. And so, yeah, from his perspective, I get what he's saying. But I think as far as advice goes, for the most part, Myron and him would probably see near eye to eye. There'd be pushbacks on the places where he's pushing back. But from a whole, like, Myron would be like, I tell guys to go to the gym for them. I tell them that the finances are for them. And yeah, again, there's this build it and they'll come aspect to it. But you shouldn't be doing it just because they'll come. You do it for you, and then when they come, you get to choose. You get the choice. You get to pick and choose. You get to be the selector. That's the idea. The whole point of Red Pill is to make you the man, the selector. You are the one hiring for the job, and they're the one that has to demonstrate to you that they're worth the job, not the other way around. And I think that's a way better way to look at it. Because, I mean, shit, if there's a bunch of women that want to date guys like that, that means there's plenty of them around. So you don't have to settle for the one that's like, yeah, I'm a cum dumpster. Please come in me. Like, nah, thanks. It looks like you get plenty of that without me participating in it. Thank you. We'll be in touch. And by that, I'll probably never talk to you again. And what's funny is I dated a girl about last year who tried pulling shit with me, and it was so funny in real time watching her like see me flip on her. She starts flirting with my friend and all this and that, so I pawned her off. So she comes back a couple months later. We bump into each other. She goes, "What happened?" Like, well, you started flirting with other men, so I was like, fuck that. Go date those other men. Don't come back and be like, where did I go? I was right here. What are you talking about? Let's keep going.
To prove to this scam that you are totally worth it, that you're totally worth dating. A, she says, okay, you sleep with her, you realize, yeah, she's shallow, not somebody I want to be with anyway, so you just sleep with her and dump her. Who wins? You didn't win. Maybe you caught something. Okay.
And real quick to his point there, when he's like, oh, you sleep with her and then you find out this shit. I don't think, and I don't know Myron very well, but I don't think he would say, figure that shit out after you sleep with her. That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid and asinine. Because she could be crazy. You figure that shit out before you sleep with her. You figure out if she's worth sleeping with before you sleep with her. That's the way to think about it. Don't, like, oh yeah, let's just knock each other's rocks off and then I find out later, oh, oops. Yeah, that's how you end up in a really bad situation. If you figure this out beforehand, you can help mitigate getting yourself into risky situations.
Okay, so you got your rocks off, so what? Number 2, maybe you catch something. Then you're really the loser. And number 3, maybe she turns you down. So how would you feel as a guy that goes out and raises your SMV and you work really hard, you make this money and you buy these nice clothes and you drive around in a nice car and you try to put all this game together and you're working real hard to try to pick up a stick and she says no and blows you off? How do you feel about yourself at that point in time?
Well, that goes back to my point that all of that stuff isn't for her. It's not to get her. Now, ideally, it's helpful, right? It can help, for sure. I think having your shit together definitely is attractive to women. 1,000%. So it's not to say you do all this just to get her, right? There's an aspect to it of you're doing it for you. You're doing it for your well-being, for your future, for your success. And if someone comes along, great. Ideally, if you got your shit together, you have a better chance. You have a way better chance, especially considering women date up. You have a way better chance. You have way more options to go through. That doesn't mean automatically that you should just throw it away the second you get some girl that's interested in you. And it's going back to what I'm saying, that if you do these things for you, then when you get rejected or blown off, you don't fucking care. Because it's for you anyway. It's not for her. It's for you. And I can see people going into this thinking, oh yeah, if I go to the gym and I get my six-pack, like, I'm going to get laid. I can see if that's your mindset, that if you get rejected, yeah, you're going to be like, well, what the fuck? I did all this for nothing. It's like, well, that's because you're doing it for the wrong damn reason. You don't work out to get pussy. That's not how that works. Like, you work out for your health. Like, maybe you meet a girl at the gym or something like that, but you don't specifically do it for the chick. And this mindset of having women as your top priority, they should be like a low 4th, maybe 4th or 5th priority. And that goes back to when Myron says shit like women deserve less. Why would you think he's telling men, do all this amazing stuff for you to then give it to a woman that doesn't deserve it? It doesn't like coincide with his narrative. If women deserve less and you're working on yourself, the working on yourself part is so that you as a man can mitigate dating those specific women that you're like, well, wait a second, you don't want to be with those ones, right? Of course you don't. And if you worked on yourself enough, you're not insecure or so desperate that you're settling for something that you're like, oh shit, why did I get into this?
You've wasted all this time, all this energy, all this money to jump through hoops to pick up a and then the laughs you off and tells you no. Do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel like you're winning at the game of life? Or do you feel like, wow, I went through all these steps and a skank still won't date me? That's where I think a lot of men's sadness comes from. A lot of men clicking out of the game. A lot of men saying, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm unhappy in life. My argument is this. If you want to drive a nice car, drive a nice car. Make sure you can pay it off. Don't go into debt for any of this stuff. But if you want to drive a nice car, drive a nice car. I have a nice car. But I bought it for me, not to impress other people. Go to the gym, work out to be healthy. I need to do that myself. But I'm certainly not working out for women. I do need to do it for myself, for my own health. But if you don't do it for women and you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't matter if a woman turns you down. It doesn't matter if a woman laughs you off. It doesn't matter if a woman ignores you or whatever else, because you don't care. See, all his advice is still centered around the woman. It's still centered on
I was muted that whole time, wasn't I? Shit. Damn it, what was I saying? Fuck. That was a good point. Hold on, I gotta repeat what he said. I was muted.
go to the gym, work out to be healthy. I need to do that myself. But I'm certainly not working out for women. I do need to do it for myself, for my own health. But if you don't do it for women and you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't matter if a woman turns you down. It doesn't matter if a woman laughs you off. It doesn't matter if a woman ignores you or whatever else, because you don't care. See, all his advice is still centered around the woman.
Okay, right. No, I disagree. I think all of the high status stuff is for you, 1,000%. All the go to the gym, build your finances, get the nice car, get the watch, all of that should really be for you, not necessarily to get a woman. However, what Myron and Red Pill is trying to say is it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt to have those things. It doesn't hurt to improve yourself, but it also wants to try to marry that high status, do well, chase excellence with a social thing that also happens, because plenty of guys have all that shit and they still suck with women. They absolutely are terrible with women because they never learn the social dynamic. So what Red Pill tries to do is marry the two And people like to conflate it and say, well, are you just telling people to get the nice watch or the nice car just so that they can get the woman? No, but it doesn't hurt. And it can be used as leverage later if you have all these things. Not only that, but to know that there are women out there who will absolutely only date you for those accolades and not for you. So if you lost any of that, you're fucked. Or you get a really shallow woman who marries you but then divorces you so she can take half your shit. So you're still setting yourself up for failure if the entire idea is to build yourself up so you can then just shell it away to some dumb broad who didn't deserve it in the first place. And knowing those two things should keep you, so when you are kind of built up, you're like, yeah, why would I want to sleep around with some 304 or get some dumb broad pregnant that I have no interest in dating, no interest in marrying, no interest in having kids with? All that stuff comes into play. Why would I do that if this woman is clearly just jumping from guy to guy? Why would I even want to engage in that? However, I think what Red Pill's trying to say here is you do have to put yourself out there. You do have to have some sort of social proof, because again, there's guys that have all that and then they suck with women because they never put anything into the social part of it. So Red Pill's not saying once you get those things you must like shell it out to women or show it or peacock it. You don't have to necessarily do that, but yeah, you should absolutely develop some sort of social game or you're gonna be fucked anyway. Because even in that, if you're not like a personal, if you don't have like some personality with you, then you're still playing to lose. Because even if you had all that stuff but you had zero game, you're still risking the chance of running into women who only want you, again, for your resources and not for you. And so what they say is get the stuff so you can feel good about yourself, but also work on the social end of it so you have some options and you get to know the dating game. You have to know that. And if you don't, you're going to screw yourself up in one or the other fields. You kind of have to balance them both.
It's still centered on a woman judging you, on a woman selecting you, on a woman wanting you.
See, I also disagree with this. I don't think you do this stuff just so women want you. Obviously, more women are going to want you because you're more successful. That's just how the game works in today's society. Might change tomorrow, who knows? But that's not saying you have to do this just to get. It shouldn't be focused on that, and I agree with him on that. But I don't think Red Pill's saying that.
Do all these things, guys. Keep your SMV high. Pretend you have other women, and you'll get more women. Okay, but that's living your life centered around women. I still think it is way better, and you will be way happier if you said, okay, I'm not thinking about women right now. I'm going to do a job that I love. I'm going to do a job that pays me well because money is important for my future plans for myself. I'm going to work out because I want to look good, or I want to feel good, or I want to live longer. I'm going to do that for myself. I'm going to buy a nice watch, not to impress women, but because I worked really hard. And I really like this certain brand of watch, or I've always wanted one, or it is me treating myself to a milestone for the success I've reached in life. All those things are fine. Then, if you got a guy walking around in a suit wearing a nice watch, he's got a nice ride, he goes to the gym and he works out and he's successful, and none of that was done with women in mind. None of that was done with women. All that was done for is him. He said, this is what I want to do. This is what's going to make me happy. This is for me. If he genuinely does that without a woman in mind, I will show you a happy, successful man. Then, if women aren't coming up to him and women aren't talking to him and women aren't flirting with him, he doesn't give a shit. He's got a great life. He's doing his own thing. He's got friends. He's got plenty of activity. He's got a successful career, or at least a job he loves. He's winning. But a guy that does this to keep his SMV high, and maybe that's not what Myron's saying, but it's certainly when the first thing he goes to is, well, you got to keep your SMV high and let these women know they're replaceable and that you've got other women.
Yeah, again, he's only saying that for a social aspect. And again, it's not to be so autistic that you literally walk up to a woman and like, this isn't good game. Any guy can, like, as soon as I say it, it's just every guy will be like, no, it's not good game. You don't walk up and you're replaceable, therefore date me. I'm the only guy you'll ever date. And you're like, no, that obviously doesn't work. There's an unspoken thing there of, I can't fuck with him because I know if I fuck up with him, I'm done and he can move on. That's the idea. That's the frame.
On the back burner, even if you don't, well, you're just faking it. You're just pretending. Why are you even bothering? A better response to this is why women are single. This is why women, when they get to the age of 35 and 40, are sad and depressed because they're all alone and will be for the rest of their lives. And it's why middle-aged to older men, and even some young guys out there today, are really crushing it. And they're really happy, and they're really doing well for themselves. Reason being, they've given up on worrying about women. They've given up on dating. They've given up on those distractions. And if one falls in their lap, or they meet somebody that's nice, and they say, I'd like to go out with this woman, go ahead and ask her. Go ahead and go for it. Shoot your shot. But if she turns you down or it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. You got a circle of friends and great things going on in your life. But the minute you start thinking about SMV and pretending you're this and saying you're that, and you've got to raise your value to get women like this, that's...
Is it just me, or is that just talking out of both sides of his mouth a little bit? Because everything he's saying, he's like, if you focus on all of the things that Red Pill tells you to focus on, you're going to be happy, you're going to be successful, and you're not going to give a shit about women, which is exactly the point of Red Pill. But then he says, but if you focus on SMV and this and that, like, you put your focus on women again, and you try to, worry about dating and all the social stuff, you're going to get all messed up. And it's like, I think you could do both. I think you could be a successful person, have a great circle of friends, and like I said, like, yeah, if they reject you, you don't give a shit because you have a circle and they got you. But it certainly doesn't hurt. And it's certainly a lot easier to take rejection when you have all those things going for you. It's a whole lot easier to play the game because you're in it to win it, but you don't, it's not like you're hyper focused on getting a date or anything like that. You kind of see what happens. If nothing happens, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep living my life. But there's also this like MGTOW thing that I don't think necessarily works either, where you can be completely antisocial to women. I don't think that's going to end you up any better either. If you just go, well, I'm just gonna like fuck women altogether, I'm just not gonna give them the time of day. You don't know until you meet the person. Now, granted, more women are becoming like this than not, and finding a good woman is rare, but you won't know unless you put yourself out there. The only advice that's different from maybe what you're giving and what you think Myron is giving here, really, is to say, don't get the cart before the horse. But the problem, though I agree, and we agree with that sentiment, is that I don't necessarily think Red Pill's telling you that. If it's telling you be successful, go get, build a good social circle, build your finances, work on you, those are all things that you are also saying. So Red Pill would agree with you there. And then when you're like, well, it's just for women or just to get S3X, Myron would push back on you with this, I believe. He would say, well, yeah, it might, again, your options are definitely going to increase. There's no doubt about it. You're definitely going to get an increase in options. But how are you going to know which girl to choose if you're not out there socially with her figuring this stuff out? The real important caveat there is that if you're not focused on dating and you're not focused on sex or getting a woman specifically, and you're like really just trying to drive and focus on your future, if you're looking for a companion in that, she has to match your energy. And if she doesn't, then you can, continue moving along. But to completely shut all of that off can also end you in a place where you're in your 50s and maybe you have all the nice things. But with who do you share it with? Nobody, because you never took the time to work on the social side of it and at least put yourself out there. Yeah, there's shitty women. There's also shitty men. That's just the reality of life. But it doesn't have to be so complicated as worrying about, like, I don't think Myron's hyper focused on SMV so much that he's like, oh my god, like, is my SMV high today? It's not. No, all he's saying is have a roster, keep your options open, don't settle. And it's all the same shit you're saying. So I'm not necessarily sure Myron would disagree with you. He would just disagree with the way you're framing his arguments.
That's where I think he's getting it wrong. And I think a lot of men get it wrong. In my eyes, and I'll listen to arguments below, so please comment down below. But I'm telling you right now, if you live your life for you, and everything you do is for you, for the good of you, don't say, well, I'm living for me. I'm eating my 17th bowl of ice cream today and I weigh 350 pounds, but I'm doing it for me. Because in the long run, you're not going to be a happy person. You'll have health problems and other things going wrong in your life. I'm saying if you live a healthy life, do a job that you love, that pays pretty well, that you can live the lifestyle you want to live. For some people, that's very low. For other people, that's very high. Find what works for you and live your entire life for you and your family and your friends and the people that actually care about you. Then, if a woman sees you're successful and happy and doing well and she wants to be a part of that, she will find a way to be a part of that. But at no point should you be doing anything to prove yourself to any of these loser women. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your life, you're wasting your effort, all for somebody that's probably more than likely still going to either cheat on you, leave you, or turn you down for another dude because he's taller and better looking than you, and who's done nothing for that woman. Focus on yourselves. That's my argument on this one. And until men understand that portion of it, don't fake living a good life so that women want to date you or they think they want to be a part of your life. That's a lot of what some of these channels talk about. Here's a better.
See, again, I don't necessarily agree. I know a lot of red pill creators. We got Glenn Lawrence. Sorry, friend. I got Glenn Lawrence in chat. He could probably second this. No red piller is telling you to build up your game, work on you. Also, you could throw it away at some dumb bimbo. And if that's your takeaway from red pill, then you don't understand red pill. And I'm not a red pill guy. I'm not. I just don't strawman their positions this harshly. I understand where they're coming from. My pushback is on some of the prescriptors, like the have sex with 50 girls and this and that. But even when Myron got pushed on that, he's like, well, it's more of like a principle. Like, you don't have to, like, it shouldn't be like this rule you have to follow. But he's like, I just want men to kind of get out there and see what they're getting themselves into before they really fuck things up. And I think there's wisdom in that. I would just push where I'd push back in that is to say I don't even think you need to sleep with them to figure this shit out. I don't. I don't think you need to sleep with women to figure this shit out. You can figure all of this shit out before you sleep with them, and you should, because all that stuff comes into play when you should get the horse before the cart, and the cart is marriage, having kids, and you know, doing family outings and whatever else that is entailed in that. That all comes after. In the meantime, focusing on you is good advice. I don't think Red Pill disagrees with that. Get your stuff together, and that's not say, well, while you're doing that, don't put yourself out there at all, because then you might become a social pariah. Have a social life, meet a couple pretty women. Just don't settle. Don't settle, and know your worth, and know that you don't have to flaunt anything to get a woman's attention. You shouldn't have to. And any guy that walks away with Red Pill thinking, okay, now I gotta go buy a Lambo and a $1,000 watch just to get, you know, a woman's attention, you came away with the wrong message. Honestly, I don't know any creator that would listen to that and be like, yeah, totally, yeah, that's Red Pill, yeah. So that part of it sounds a little silly to me, but ultimately, I'm just not sure. Again, I'm just not sure he's disagreeing with anything that Red Pill's toting. It's just, I get where he's coming from. It's easy to watch a clip or two of these guys and think, okay, this is what Red Pill's really about. Like, you do all these things, and then, you know, the women come, or it's for the women, or some men might think, okay, I can coerce a woman using these tactics. And you can absolutely walk away with that information and play the game that way. But any smart, high-value man is going to tell you that's a shit game to play. And it's, again, that short-term gain, long-term loss. Because you don't know what's at the other end of that pot of gold, or rainbow, rather. It could be just a pile of shit. All the things you need to be looking for, promiscuity, and does she have a good upbringing? Is she going to be a good mom? Is she going to be a good wife? All that should be looked into even before you start courting her, really. That should all be figured out in like the dating phase of the entire relationship. And during that phase, we need to make it okay that you're talking to multiple women, because there's been this social shame that you absolutely have to pursue one woman at a time, and you can only go out with one and date and court and do all this, and you guys aren't even girlfriend and boyfriend yet. You're not even dating. You're not, well, maybe you're going out, you're going on dates, but you're not like official or anything. And it's just like, why would you do that, knowing that these girls, a lot of them get thousands of DMs every single day from dudes who want to do everything from marry them to DTF. They will date guys all the way from most of them from the top echelons. But I know there's, like I said, there's plenty of women in our area that date bum fucking losers. Total losers, don't have a job, don't have a car, don't have shit, and they'll date them. They beat them, they cheat on them, and they still stay. And they're like, I can fix him. It was just his upbringing. They make excuses. They cry about it. They're like, I wish he was a better boyfriend. I wish he was blah, blah, blah. And then they stay with him for years. So, even if you do get all this even if you did get all this shit, there's still women out there that suck. Just like I said, there's men that suck. It's just knowing that reality and then playing the game accordingly. That's my 2 cents. But ultimately, I think Joker, as far as your advice, Myron would agree. He would just push back on your framing. And I'm changing the SMV because I looked it up. I didn't even know what the fuck that meant. It says sexual market value. I would say social. Because if you're, looking for the more traditional style, obviously you're not having sex with these women until after that's already taken care of, right? So from my perspective, you're just working on your social market value. You want at least 3 or 4 interested women at a time. And it could be anything from maybe we go out once or twice to maybe we only talk once a month. It doesn't matter. The fact that you can get along with women is going to work out for you in the long run. And being social with them does not hurt, even if they're completely awful. It just means that you don't have to date them. And no one's telling you that you have to. You shouldn't. Especially if you're a high value man, and especially if you got enough going on for you. You can just, thanks for playing, pass it along, let them go to the next 6'4" Chad that they want to screw. There's no have-tos in Red Pill. There's no ought claims in Red Pill. It just tells you, this is the way it is right now. Play accordingly. That's my take. I hope you guys enjoyed it.